Hello everyone, welcome to another video on quad helix. It is a short video about the quad helix appliance. Let's see what is quad helix, for what purpose it is used, introduction, indications of quad helix, appliance design and components, clinical activation procedure and advantage and disadvantages, complications associated with this helix, and conclusion. Quad helix, it is an appliance which is a modification of Coffin's W spring. It was described by R.M. Ricketts in 1975 initially, and it was used to treat cleft palate patients who exhibited significant collapse on the maxillary arch. And it is a slow maxillary expansion appliance. It delivers a continuous force. It has 4 helical loops, and continuous action during expansion will be provided because of greater range of activation provided by the longer wire. And indications of quad helix appliance is collapsed maxillary arch in cleft patients as well as non-cleft patients, posterior crossbite which may be unilateral or bilateral, and it can also be used for maxillary molar derotation and for maxillary molar distalization. It can be used both during the mixed dentition stage and for adult patients. Orthopedic results are seen more in child patient if the intermaxillary suture is not fused. In the adult patient, after the intermaxillary sutures are fused, maxillary expansion cannot be brought. Only the dentoalveolar effects can be seen. Orthopedic result because of the breakage of the intermaxillary suture will not occur in adult patients. And it is a quad helix appliance, anterior to helix. This picture is a bit not clear. In later pictures we can appreciate it well. In this picture what we can notice is this molar has been rotated distolabially, and after the application of quad helix its rotation is corrected, and each helix of the quad helix adds 25 mm of wire. One study was done by Frank regarding the use of quad helix appliance in younger patients, and he found that this appliance produced a slight mid-palatal separation of 0.92 mm, and it was also found that majority of the change was from orthodontic nature. Dentoalveolar movement was there. Average intermolar expansion that could be achieved was 5.88 mm. Near around 6 mm expansion can be achieved in the intermolar region, and his study suggested that with the quad helix appliance there was a 6:1 ratio between the orthodontic and orthopedic expansion. Coming to appliance design and construction, it can be either removable, in which the wire components are inserted into a palatal sheath in the molar band, or it can be soldered as shown in this image. The component of quad helix can be soldered to the molar band, and it is constructed with 0.038 inch diameter or 0.975 mm diameter stainless steel wire or blue LG low wire, that is equivalent to 18 gauge stainless steel wire SS wire, and soldered to or inserted in palatal sheath. The components are these two are anterior helix, posterior helices, and this is the anterior bridge. These two are the posterior bridge and the outer arms, which are adapted to the buccal tooth, premolars and canines. And the armamentarium required universal plier and loop forming plier, and this is a straight wire, 18 gauge straight wire SS wire, and cast of the patient. I have made it in ideal cast, and 2 molar bands which are nicely adapted. That should be okay for making the quad helix. And preformed quad helix is also manufactured by Rocky Mountain Orthodontics. We can see in their website, and different size are available. and amount of force which is delivered by 5 mm, 10 mm and 15 mm of expansion by those prefabricated quad helix is given in this chart. But we are using custom quad helix generally because for it is easy to make, easy to obtain, less cost is also incurred by the patient. And how it is activated: for activation, 3-prong pliers is used for the quad helix, a single beak and 2 beaks on the other side, and it can be activated extraorally as well as intraorally. Extraoral activation is done by opening the helix, where activation of anterior helix increases the intermolar width, and adjusting the posterior helix cause lateral arm expansion. And this lateral arm expansion counteracted the mesial rotation of the anterior helix activation. When we activate the posterior helix, the mesiolingual rotation that is brought about by this anterior bridge activation, that is counteracted by posterior activation. So the initial mesiolingual rotation is again corrected. And extraoral activation allows the amount of activation to be clearly seen, and it can be done prior to cementation at first, and on later appointments if it is required we can remove the quad helix and again re-cement it, but extra work is involved, extraoral activation. So intraoral method is preferred, and it was criticized. Intraoral method was criticized by Chaconas and D. Alva et al. That each bend produced a progressive decrease in the force originally placed in the appliance. They mentioned that extraoral activation is best if done. If intraoral activation is done, the amount of force is reduced. And initial activation of 8 mm prior to cementation, it creates a 14 ounces force, which is 400 gram of force, which is sufficient for skeletal expansion. And if only expansion on the one side is done, only one posterior bridge is activated, the molar from the other side, distalization force is applied on the other side. And all the numerous ways how to activate is mentioned in this figure. Activation of anterior arm, this one is shown, and activation of posterior bridge 2, and activation of outer arm, adjustment in the outer arm, and activation of the posterior helices. Anterior adjustments in the anterior bridge, it produces expansion in the posterior molar area. When the 3-prong plier, let's see here, 3-prong plier, the single beak of the 3-prong plier is placed anterior towards the anterior and it is pressed, it will cause expansion in the molar region. Expansion in the molar region, and it will move the molar in the mesial rotation, mesiolingual rotation. And this mesial rotation movement of molar is corrected by number 2 activation, which causes distal rotation. Again it causes distal rotation of the molar. Lateral adjustment expands and rotates the molar on the activated side, and the molar on the opposite side is distalized. That is also another effect of this posterior bridge activation. And activation of both sides causes the expansion to be on the both sides. And adjustment to the buccal arm in this 3, it expands the premolar, bicuspid and cuspid, premolar and canine. And if they are held away from the teeth, it allows the molar to rotate. So if rotation of the molar is needed, this buccal arm should not touch the anterior teeth, premolars and canine. And adjustment through this distal loop, it again causes the expansion to the buccal arms. These are the different ways how a quad helix can be activated. Some modifications of quad helix which are useful is we can incorporate in the headgear tube of the molar band a 0.045 inch wire can be incorporated and one hook can be formed. So this can be used for the protraction face mask, engaging the elastics of a protraction face mask. Simultaneous expansion as well as protraction of the maxillary arch can be done. And another modification is bi-helix appliance in the mandible. It has only the two helical loops. It is used to upright the lower buccal teeth. And another modification is for rotation of the quad helix, can be used to rotate an incisor tooth. In this case, a cleft palate was present to derotate, taking encourage from the anterior helix. And activation to produce molar derotation on one side, it causes distalization on the other side. So encourage is not provided by the anterior teeth here. This anterior outer arm is altogether cut, and this all function is one unit, and taking the encourage from the whole arch, this molar is distalized. Another modification is that for thumb sucking habit patients, this outer arm can be extended and bring into towards the center of the palate, so it will act as a reminder not to suck the thumb. Until occlusal aspect of the maxillary lingual cusp contact the occlusal slope of the mandibular buccal cusp, this expansion is done until the posterior crossbite is corrected, and it is a bit 2-3 mm over corrected, and that is recommended to compensate for uprighting of the buccally tipped teeth once the retention is discontinued. And the quad helix appliance is maintained in the expanded but passive form for 6 weeks for the adequate retention after the expansion is achieved. Advantages of this quad helix is easy to fabricate, simple design, it requires no any patient compliance, it is generally cemented, and it is tolerated well. There is no effect in speech, and it can be used simultaneously with fixed appliance therapy. That is also one of the best part. And disadvantages include dental tipping, buccal tipping occur, ulceration at the area of the helix. Sometimes the molar bands come loose and it needs to be re-cemented, and sometimes the appliance breaks and resoldering also may be needed. This is effect of quad helix in one of my patients. It was cemented first in March 12 and in 19th May. This is the effect. We can see improvement in the anterior crowding. At first there was no any space for this lateral incisor, though there is no any space at present also. We anticipate some proclination and hope the space will be sufficient. And some distalization also we can notice that in the anterior region, in the first one prior to insertion, we can notice that the anterior helix are ahead of the anterior to the most posterior rugae, palatal rugae, but here we can see the anterior helix are posterior to the most posterior palatal rugae. So distalization on the both side has also occurred, and anterior crowding has been relieved, and some amount of expansion, around 4 to 5 mm of expansion has been achieved within a period of 2 months. And from the frontal view, we can see the posterior teeth are in crossbite on the left side. We can see the headgear tube of the maxilla is a bit inside, whereas on the second picture the headgear tube is buccal to the mandibular headgear tube, mandibular molar tube. So the expansion brought about the quad helix is well appreciated. Similarly, in this upper pictures, this upper are just after the cementation. So here we can see the molar relation is full class 2. Molar relation is full class 2 here on the both side. but after 2 months the molar relation is indent relation. That may be due to forward positioning of the mandible, because of the expansion locked mandible could come forward. That could be one reason. And also because of distalization, this could have been resulted. These are the effects of quad helix appliance. And there is weak to moderate evidence that the treatment of functional posterior crossbite by the quad helix appliance increased the maxillary intermolar width and the success rate and decreased treatment duration compared to the expansion plates. The relapse percentage was greater in the quad helix group. It was done in 2022, a systematic review and meta-analysis. Similarly, slow maxillary expansion and rapid maxillary expansion promote equal posterior expansion in cleft patients. The anterior differential expansion is greater with slow maxillary expansion. That means if we need expansion only in the premolar area, quad helix appliance is preferred. No clear evidence exists concerning the amount of dental adverse effect of SME and RME in cleft patients. So the quad helix appliance, it is a viable alternative for the correction of posterior crossbite. It is comparable to or even better than other slow maxillary expanders in terms of maxillary expansion, while being cost effective with very few complications. And these are the reference for this presentation. You can go through them for in-depth knowledge regarding the quad helix appliance. If you have got any queries, please mention in the comment section below. I'll try my best to answer those. See you in the next video.